So I'm here with Wei Peng, and we're going to discuss the philosophical consultation.
Yes.
So, according to you, what is a philosophical consultation?
I think philosophical consultation is use a questioning. You make the other one think shortly. That's what I understand about philosophical
So
consultation.
that's the main objective, to make the other one think.
Yes.
So then there would be a difference between a philosophical consultation and some kind of therapy.
Yeah. I think a big difference here.
So what would you say is the main difference?
The purpose of the philosophical consultation is not therapy, but maybe it has the function as the therapy, but the purpose of the consultation is not therapy.
So it can have therapeutical effects.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the main point of it.
Yeah, that's not the main point.
Yeah. So what kind of people come for a philosophical consultation?
Yes, based on my experience, well, usually there are two kinds that I encounter. The first one is that they are facing some issues of their life. They try different method as a therapy. They wanted something as therapy. The second type is they're interested in philosophy, interested in ideas, so they want to see how it works.
And do you work differently with these two categories? Or?
Yeah, I do work differently with these two kinds of clients. Well, the first one, I will more focus on their issues, like the problems they have, more, how to say that, their personal thing, individual issue. But the other kind, I think I will more focus on ideas, on thinking competency. So yeah, I will see at different time which I will more focus on. Yes, and for example, some client at beginning, she thinks she has some personal existential issue. So I work more on. I don't think she's ready for some thinking competency. So I will work more on her own self exploration, and then at some stage, I think she's already getting better. So then I will work on make her to think more, to work on ideas. Yes.
That will be a later step.
Yeah, a later step.
After you've dealt with the personal issues.
Yes.
So you say some people come to seek some kind of therapy. So do you have to explain to them that this is not therapy here? We're doing something else.
Yeah, I will tell them first the beginning session. I will tell them this is not a therapy, and I will tell them very brief way of what is philosophical consultation. Yeah, I will make them clear that sometimes I will tell them what's the difference between philosophical consultation and psychological consultation, because many people they confuse. I think it's very important you tell them at the beginning, otherwise they don't know what you're doing. So yeah, basically I will give very brief things before we start the session.
So what is the main thing they think that we will be doing? If they come and they think this is a therapy, and you have to tell them, no, we're not doing this, we're doing that. So what would that be?
The main difference is that we won't enter their personal story. Usually in therapy, they will enter very detailed level, what will be the problem. But in philosophical consultation, I just want the person to go more in a general level to understand what is the main issue. And sometimes, because they cannot stop themselves, keep giving details, so you have to interrupt them many times, but help them to get out of their narration and just to have a more general picture of what is happening in their life.
So are there some kind of people that you would not work with? Some category or some types, whatever? Someone comes to you and you decide, oh no, okay, this I'm not going to work with. Or you would work with anyone.
Yeah, I think I there are some difficult situations. For example, I had a client. I think he is very anxious. I think he may very likely he has psychological problem because during the whole consultation he keeps scratching the head and keeps moving his body, so he shows very strong level of anxiety. So I think so that consultation is very difficult because I see that how difficult it is for him to think because he is totally preoccupied by the anxiety, so he can hardly follow what I ask for him, even a very simple task. So maybe I was thinking that for people who have already some very strong psychological problem, I don't think it's good idea to work with them because they don't have space for thinking. Even even you try very simple things, but they cannot get out of their anxiety. So yeah, I think that type of clients, it's not it's not appropriate. I think philosophical consultation cannot be a replacement for psychologists because we function different, very function differently, and I think we need both.
Mm. So you work in China, but you
Yes.
also have experience of more international
Yeah.
clients. So
Yes.
can you say something? What if there is a significant difference between working with Chinese clients and let's say European clients?
Yeah, there are very big difference, I think, because the culture, different culture, they have different how to say characteristic, and I think one big difference is that Chinese culture have very strong practical dimension. So people usually come to you, they want to solve some very personal problems. They're less interested in ideas, but they're more urged to trying to solve problems because they do have some how to say that pragmatic dimension that they get from the culture. But I see that, for example, some European clients, they are more connected to ideas, I think. Yeah. But that's just my personal experience. Um, yeah.
So you would have to work a little differently with these types of clients.
Yes. I think uh, Chinese clients, because of the culture, because of the history, we are not very into the metaphysics. So if you're introducing them some metaphysic ideas, they will have very difficult time. But well, I think it works better. The metaphysics works better in Western clients. Mm.
So enter into the paradigm, the thinking scheme of the client is
Yes.
important. So if they're not metaphysical, you're not going to use metaphysics.
Yes.
So you're going to adapt your style to their own worldview.
Oh, yes and no, actually, because one important strategy of being a philosophical counselor is that introduce different paradigm. So, for example, some of my client, I think she's too much into herself, too much into the practical stuff. So I think maybe it's a good idea I introduce her some philosophical reading, or even I think well even though it will be a bit difficult for her, but I think still the endeavor, the effort is still trying, because in this way you can help her to get out of her limitation. So I think that's one specific or interesting aspect of philosophical consultation.
That you help them shift paradigm.
Yes.
To move from one to the other.
Yeah.
Take them from the pragmatic to another one.
Yes. For example, one of my clients, she's a very practical woman, and at the beginning when I introduce some philosophical reading to her, she has difficulty, but slowly, very slowly, step by step, she is more and more getting to it. So yeah, I think it's worth trying.
So do you think there are any ethical considerations that we need to be concerned about when we're dealing with clients? You know, some people say we have to make sure that we're not traumatizing them. We have to make sure that they feel safe. We have to make sure that nothing too aggressive or confrontative or whatever is happening. Do you have such concerns, or you think it's not so relevant?
Well, personally, I would say it's not relevant. I'm not a fan of the ethics, because I think a very valuable thing about philosophy is we want truth, we want authenticity. So even though I know it's a bit difficult for some people, they want some privacy, they want some space, but I think I will introduce them the idea that be more authentic with themselves, with the others, because I think is also very important, essential work of the philosopher to show them how authenticity is important in one's life. So yeah, I'm not concerned about ethics, but at the same time, because we are not very into the story of one's life, I don't think there's much privacy there. Or maybe I'm personally, I don't concern about privacy, so I'm not very concerned about it.
So ethics could be in the way of authenticity.
Yes.
Actually, it could stand in the way.
Yes.
Yeah. And to be authentic, that was a popular word. But how do you understand it? What is it to... I come to you as a client, you want me to be authentic, so what does that mean?
It means that you don't lie to yourself. Well, even though I think it's difficult, because we usually will lie to ourselves. Everyone lies. We want to make sure we live in our safe space. So we easily, naturally lie to ourselves, to the other. But that's the work of the philosopher, to show that you're lying, and how you can show clearly how you're lying and why you lie to yourself. So that's the work the philosopher do, to explore with the client together, to see the authentic part of themselves. So
to be too concerned with ethics, then it would make it more difficult for you as a practitioner to reveal the lies and to cut through the lies.
Yes, that's true. So if people, there are occasions, some clients, they're very insecure. So I think you can hardly work with them. They don't want to face themselves. So they're too much fear. So I think, yeah, that type of client you can hardly work with too.
Finally, I just want to ask you if you have some really interesting case in mind, someone who came to you, maybe it was a scandalous session, maybe they got really angry or something. Do you have something in mind?
Yes, I have someone in mind. that when I was in a activity, it's not a one-on-one consultation, but it's more like a group work. And there was one lady, and she was really saying some contradictory things. So I used some dialogue with her to try to show her that how contradictory she made herself. And at that moment, she was angry with me, and but she was polite, because there are other people around. So, but you can see she got very emotional, and she tried to defend herself. Um, and but very interestingly, after that time, maybe she just reflected by herself, or yeah, maybe she reflected later on by herself, and she came to my cafe philo just by herself, even without my invitation. So I think that means she can see what I did, that point out what is contradictory in her behavior. So that made me realize that even you make the other person get angry at some point, but I think people, they have the capability of reflection, so they will think about it. And if they are not very stubborn or very fearful, so they can get what you're talking about and what you're doing, because they will understand you're not trying to hurt them. So yeah, I think that is an interesting case for me, that someone who really got angry and doesn't like your work, but then she come regularly to your workshop, and she started to see how it works. Yeah.
So we don't have to be afraid of making people angry and strong emotions.
Yeah, right.
It can actually help. It can be beneficial.
Yes, it can be beneficial, but the point is that don't be affected by that. Don't react to the other people's anger. Yeah, I think that's also the challenging part of being a philosophical counselor, that you should work on yourself, not to be easily affected by the other, but you can show that you can you work on yourself, you challenge yourself. I think you can be the example of your client.
Good. Is there something we missed? Something you want to add before we stop?
No, no.
Okay, good. So
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Wei.
no problem. My pleasure.